Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It is so good to be back. I missed all of you. If you're not familiar, I'm back from Mexico. I spent 10 days down there exploring Chichen Itza. I also went to Tulum and did a lot of other fun things. We took a catamaran and went out into the ocean, and that was really fun. But the Wi-Fi there was terrible. Somehow it was actually worse than Cambodia, which I didn't think was possible. The only difference between the Wi-Fi between the two countries is like Mexico doesn't have those rolling blackouts where like every day for like a period of time you're going to lose electricity. So we had electricity, but literally the 5G on my phone went down to 3G. And so it was tough just trying to FaceTime Annie. For those of you who aren't familiar, my cat Annie is 14 and having some health issues. And so, yeah, it was a challenge. And I'm sure most of you heard the news because I made the video and the announcement in the community section. But if you didn't, I also got engaged while I was down there. So he actually is someone, his name is Michael, who came back into my life. We were high school and college sweethearts that had gone our own ways, and we hadn't had contact for 23 years. And it's just amazing how it happened. We actually grew up on the same street. His mother still lives right down the street from me. We went to school together since, 6th grade. So we've known each other a very long time, but I just thought he was out in the world doing his thing. And he actually just sent a request to become Facebook friends with my brother because my Facebook doesn't have my real name. But my brother does use his real name, so he was able to contact my brother. And so that's how we got back together. And it's just been magical and wonderful. And if you want to see the video, it's in the community section. And yes, I do have a ring. And it's so beautiful. It is heart-shaped. I don't know if you can see it, but I am so just lucky and blessed, So let me show you some of the treasures that I brought back. I'm also going to be answering your questions because I did ask you for questions. I'm also going to be picking the winner for a free membership. And I'm also going to be giving away a free raw channeling for anyone who's already attended a raw channeling. And if you haven't, then I can give you a free reading, okay? Because somebody came forward that was very generous and donated this. So let me show you this is so funny. Before I show you what I brought back from Mexico, when I was unpacking my bag from Egypt, I realized I forgot something. And so very well wrapped up was this gorgeous scarab. So really beautiful, even has, a cartouche on the back. And I didn't even know that it was in there. I had forgotten all about that I had gotten it. So that was like a pleasant surprise. So when I was in Chichen Itza, they have this gorgeous obsidian. And it's solid black. And members, in one of my videos that I do up, you're going to see where I hold this up to the sun. You can look at the sun through this. And it's really beautiful. And it's hard to explain, but it just looks gorgeous. So I got this beautiful piece of obsidian. I also got a rose quartz cat, which I think is kind of pretty. And I also got this citrine. I'm not convinced it's 100% citrine, but it does look like citrine to me. It's just flat on the back, and it's not sharp or anything, but I just thought it was sort of pretty. And just sort of like as a free gift for buying things, they gave me this, just little memorabilia souvenir sort of thing. And as always, I love to bring back a scarf or something, something with fabric, So it needs to be ironed because it's been folded up for so long in my luggage, but it's just really, really pretty. And, it's just gorgeous butterflies and, tassels at the end. So I also got like a really fun sweatshirt in Tulum. It's funny because I've been looking for just like a nice warm hooded sweatshirt that I can just, cuddle up in, that I can carry Annie around in. And they had one size, they had one in my size, I should say. And it was very reasonably priced. And so I got it. And let me tell you, the difference between the energies between Chichen Itza and Tulum before you get in there is so different. Because Tulum, it's almost like a party. Even though you're going into like this, sacred site, it's an ancient village, and there's, there's a temple there and all that. But it's much more like a party. And, Chichen Itza was a bit more serious, but very much still a marketplace where you could buy things. But the energies were kind of similar. I'll get into that as we do this, but yeah. And then at the end of this video, I'll do the 3-card pull using my Archangel Tarot cards by Radleigh Valentine too, okay? So, oh, people keep asking me, because it's almost like Christmas time, right? If I do gift certificates for readings. I don't. What you need to do is just sign up for a reading and use that person's info. Just put it in as you're that person, okay? So that way I can contact that person. So you would just, you know, use like their email, or you could put their email in the notes if you don't want them to know ahead of time or something like that. Oh, and you know what, the other thing I got too, Michael bought me these silver earrings. They have lots of silver in Mexico. So, you know, that's a really great place to get anything silver. They have lots of silver jewelry. So that's really nice. So let me pick who is going to be winning the free membership. Take out my trusty pink box. Okay, so it's number 80. Number 80. So I will count down, and with the magic of editing, I will be right back. Okay, everyone. So the 80th person is Judy B. So Judy, send me an email at dianestarot@gmail.com. You do have to have a PayPal, because even I can't get around that. And I know people still think that like I can help them with their memberships and YouTube accounts. I don't have access to your passwords. I can't sign you up. I can't increase, you know, like up your level, that sort of, I can't do any of that. So even I can't get around you having to have a PayPal. So Judy B, just contact me. I will set you up with membership, and we are doing so much with membership. I am actually going to give you the full membership, because I am adding an extra tier, because so many of you have asked if I could do live Archangel channelings. And so absolutely. So this month we are going to do Archangel Michael live. I will talk about him. I will teach you how to invoke him, how to bring him into your life, how to work with him. And just like when I do the raw channelings, you can actually talk, you know, it'll be interactive. You can ask questions. Okay. So, yes, it's a great time to be doing all of that. So let me get to your questions. So the first question is from Linda. Can I compare the energy between my travels in Egypt and Mexico? Very different energies, for sure. But so much of this is personal, you know? So I don't know. I don't want to influence anybody. Let me put it that way. So I feel like I felt drawn to Egypt, and I know I'm going back there. You know, I feel like that's where the Ra was the strongest, and there's just such a connection for me. Whereas Mexico, I'm glad I went, but I don't feel that draw to go back. I think I got out of it what I needed to. But I think what sort of overwhelmed me between going to Chichen Itza and Tulum was the amount of human sacrifice. I am very, very sensitive to energies and to the energies of a place. And they did an enormous amount of human sacrifice. And so when I was in those sacred sites, I could feel it. And it didn't feel good to me. So one thing I will tell you, though, that's very interesting. The way that we know that the Ra Collective that I channel was in both Tulum and Chichen Itza is because they have buildings that are actually set up to be in alignment with Venus. And for those of you who are my Law of One students, you know that the Ra come from Venus. And so why would, you know, these Mayans pick this one planet to actually care about? Well, it's because, you know, as the Ra was helping the Egyptians, they were, wherever there's pyramids, that's where the Ra were. And, but like I said, it's very different energies. I do feel like I will be going back to Egypt. I don't feel a need to go back to Mexico. Because I don't feel like that fertility god that they were sacrificing to, which is what they were doing for the most part. And let me be really clear. They weren't doing it for sport. They actually were doing it to, or they believed, you know, they were doing it for fertility purposes to help with crops. So it wasn't like they were doing it just to be cruel. It was interesting, you know, a fact that I learned in Chichen Itza was that there was a ball game that they played, and the winner would be sacrificed. And first you're thinking, wow, I really wouldn't want to win that game. But their perspective was quite different. And it was an honor. And so where I went in Egypt, where I'm just going to the pyramids, there was no sacrifices there. We even know now that slaves didn't even build the pyramids because we actually have the remains of their diet. And then we found the documents that it was actually from just normal, regular families. If you sent your son, a young man that was capable of working that sort of job, you would get a tax break. You wouldn't have to pay your taxes. So there wasn't a lot of negative energy with the places I was going to in Egypt. I'm not good. But if you remember, members, when I was in Luxor temple, I did get to that sacrifice room. Oh, I thought I was going to go down. But that's sort of it was like that sort of feeling that I was getting with Chichen Itza and Tulum. So I wouldn't want to keep doing that sort of thing. I'm glad I went. I did get a lot of messages, lots of downloads, but very different energies for sure. Let's see. Okay, so Cindy wants to know, and this is a really good question. Will there be any surprises coming out of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial? Will we learn anything new? Let's take a look. I was so disconnected for 10 days. It was so strange. I don't do a lot of TV or anything to begin with, but to have nothing, period, not even a newspaper. I think it was good. And because at first I was thinking, why would I go someplace where the Wi-Fi was this bad? And, my guide said, because you needed to actually go on vacation. And so everything happens for a reason. So let's take a look at this whole Ghislaine Maxwell situation. To me, she is just a super villain, right? Someone that grooms children. Do you get any worse than that? I just want her to be kept alive because she has info. That's how I feel about her. Okay, let's take a peek. Oh, interesting. Woo! Hoo-hoo! Okay. Okay, so these are some pretty interesting cards. And I'm just going to read them as is because this is crazy. So you're asking if we're going... Now, I don't even have the Hermit upside down. So, I mean, that I don't do reverse cards. So here's the Hermit upside down. Okay. So, he's all about learning and education, isn't he? And so you're asking, well, are we going to learn anything? And now he's upside down. I'm going to say this is also a reflection of how she's feeling. Very much alone. I don't think she's someone who's used to feeling like a hermit. I think she's used to being a social butterfly, having her friends and her parties and living the good life. That's what I think. But look at what her obstacle is. She's made deals, and I've said this about Jeffrey, that they have made some really nasty, demonic, for those of you who aren't familiar with the teachings and whatnot, demonic. For those of you who are used to, if you're my member and whatnot, the Orions, she's basically made a deal with the devil, not literally, but there are negative entities in the world. And I would also say she feels like these two characters. She's feeling pretty chained down. This is someone who is a world traveler. This is someone who gets out and about, doesn't she? And now she hasn't for a year. So she is probably feeling chained down. But like these characters, instead of breaking free, she's starting to identify with the devil. Like these characters are literally growing horns and tails. And, you don't get much more fiendish than her. There's going to be some sort of bartering and agreement. Money changing hands. So this is something we're never, ever going to know about. We're never going to see this on TV. We're not going to hear about any sort of big deals where, okay, you tell us this, we'll give you that. We're not going to hear about that sort of thing. She does wield a lot of power, doesn't she? And I would say she probably does consider herself to be the magician, right? The magician is magical. He holds a lot of power. He takes control of things. And so that tells me that in the future, she's going to try to take control as much as possible. Trying to forge new relationships. Okay. However, there will be some enlightenment that comes from them. There are things that we're going to learn. The sun's going to come out, right? This is the opposite of the moon card. You don't see clearly by moonlight. You see very clearly by the sunlight. So there are going to be some things that come out, because look at this. She is the high priestess. She embodies the high priestess, because the high priestess is all about hidden agendas, secret motives, things that you don't know, things that you can't see. That's her. But look, there is more truth coming out, but it is going to be tied to money. So there is money involved, and we'll never get to hear about that. So we'll hear some things. So you're asking about surprises. We'll hear some, but are we going to hear everything? No, I really don't think so. Really frustrating, because you know what? She would take down so many powerful people, and it wouldn't be good for them. It's not in their best interest, is it? It's in humanity's best interest, though. And I think they need to play a little bit harder with her, but okay. So Lara asks, is the low wage crisis going to contribute to a meaningful shift towards how we compensate and treat workers in the US? Oh my gosh. You know, where I live, I don't know about any of you, you try to go to a restaurant and you see the close sign, no staff today. You know, you try to go to the store, you see the close sign, no staff today. You go on DoorDash to order something, and like, I don't do fast food, but like literally there was one day when every fast food chain in my area was shut down. There was no staff. And so these big corporations are being broken. And I think it needed to happen. Something had to give, especially, and I know for those of you who don't live in the US, you don't understand like how low we pay our waiters and waitresses. You know, I mean, it's just a couple of dollars an hour. They really rely on tips. That had to change. So these things needed to change. Let me pull some cards, but yeah, you know, these big chains, and these are all big chain restaurants and chain stores. But you know what's funny? My little locally owned restaurants and locally owned stores are doing okay. They're the ones that we're turning to at this time, because, you know, some of these chains are not treating people right, especially with the food industry. So it's breaking some of these big chains that never thought that they could be broken. They really thought that they were like some sort of god, didn't they? Like they were invincible, and they're not. Nobody is. None of us are. Okay. Okay, so there's going to be a lot more truths coming out. But, you know, swords also have to do with legal issues. And swords, because all of these swords are double-edged in the tarot, they talk about things being fair and balanced, things being equal, moral, just, ethical, I should say. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot more of this coming out. The obstacle is it's not happening that fast, is it? So we have a ways to go. We do. And I feel like I say this in so many of my readings, like we're so ready for change. We're ready to move on. But yet here we are hanging upside down, just waiting. These companies, they don't like the choices in front of them. They don't like the choices. They don't like what's in this cup or this one or this one. One comes out of the sky. They still don't like their choices. They're miserable. They're miserable. And so they're going to have to make some choices. And look what happens. We get this beautiful, fertile new beginning. All aces are about a new beginning. And when you look at this wand, beautiful green leaves are coming off of it. It's a fertile new beginning. And fertility and money are linked, right, in tarot. And then we get the card of, this is one of my cards for the US, but this is also, you know, like when you wish upon a star, right? The star card is about wishes and dreams coming true. And so, you know what? It's going to happen. Hang in there, folks, especially if you're working in these industries. It will get better. I promise. I promise. Okay. So Carol asks, will the Supreme Court justices be investigated for dark money? Interesting. I would not be surprised. But like, I think, gosh, I hate to say it, but I think it's, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. But I also feel like it's 4 years or so out. I don't feel like it's today, tomorrow, next month, next year. But yes. Yes. Because remember I always told you, don't get too upset in the short term, which I know is hard with some of these Supreme Court justice picks, right? That 45 did. Because it all seemed short term to me. It seemed like it just wouldn't matter. Like something was going to happen. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I knew something was going to happen. And so I think there's going to be a lot of investigations. I know Roe v. Wade is a big issue right now, but once again, they're not going to overturn it completely. They are not. They're not going to get rid of it. They can try to modify it as much as they want, but they're still not going to get rid of it. And so, hang in there. Things are going to get better. Okay, let's see. Oh, look at this. So we start off with the Queen of Swords, okay? Once again, has to do with legal issues, okay? Now, this could imply that there is a woman that is going to be the one that pushes for this. And once again, that sword, double-edged, fair, balanced, moral, ethical, just. So there is this legal battle coming, but look at the obstacle. Hidden agendas, secret motives, things that we don't know, things going on behind the scenes. And so there's a lot of things that's happening, that has happened, that I feel, that will come out to light. Whatever is in the dark will come to light. It just doesn't seem to be happening as fast as most of us want it to. There is going to be this tower moment. So when this news breaks, it's going to be like, whoa, we are all going to feel shocked and just like, oh, like, okay, like I knew it wasn't good, but I didn't really know it was quite this bad either. And I also suspect this is how some of them are going to feel. Not all of them, of course. And I think this is how some of them are going to be feeling. They're going to be feeling stuck, tied up like a victim. But, they created this. And look, I told you some of them aren't staying. I don't think this means a literal death at all. I don't. But some of them aren't staying. Okay? There's going to be a transition, a transformation. Things will get better. Okay? Lucky asks a good question. But let me just, rephrase it a little bit. Because she says, I know Rahashaz mentioned the Mu variant. No, what Rahashah was mentioning was the Chi, and that's further out. Okay, that's further out. And we also know that they're not, they're not going out of order, but they did skip 2. And, and it makes sense why they did, because one would have been called new and you, and then it would have been called a new variant. And so they was afraid of panicking people. And then the other one was very similar to an Asian last name. And so we don't want any sort of racism, because even with the Omicron, just because they found it in South Africa just means that they found it in South Africa. It doesn't mean that it originated there. All they knew was they had people coming in with a lot of migraines and fatigue. And when they were testing them, it didn't have those little spikes that we normally see with the coronavirus. Something looked different. And so that's why they discovered it, or how they discovered it. So Lucky's question is, what do I see for the Omicron variant and public health? Yeah, so here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I am not traveling overseas for quite some time now. So I'm staying put. I know when to stay put. I know when to listen to my gut. I know when to listen to my guides. I know when to listen to the Ra, and I'm staying put. Okay. And if you're going to travel, that's a personal decision, because I'm sure some of you have already booked things, right? You have to make good decisions. The whole time I was in Mexico, just like Egypt, I did the mask. I have both, shots. Brought my vaccination card, had the hand gel strapped to my handbag. You have to do your part, at least. But let me tell you, if you're expecting some of these countries to do, because I'm explaining to you the new law that Biden passed, and I think it's reasonable, but I don't think it's reasonable in reality to have it done. If you go to some of these countries and you think that they're going to test you in 24 hours, get the results back to you in 24 hours, you're going to be able to print them out within 24 hours and make it to the airport. Yeah. Because I definitely had issues with that in both Egypt and Mexico. So keep that in mind, because if you miss your flight or if you test positive, you could be stuck there. Because if you test positive, you're there for 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. Okay. So let's take a look at the Omicron variant and let's just see what's going on with it. Okay. I do think it's going to pick up speed. I do. And I don't think it's going to just disappear. Okay, so I had one jump out here. So the Page of Wands jumped out. So, you know, so lots of planning, thinking, but also 2 pages deliver news. And so we're going to be hearing more about this. The obstacle is that we're going to have to stay put. And I know, like, as somebody who loves to travel, like, I don't want to hear that because I really want to go to Costa Rica next. I really want to go back to Southeast Asia. But here's the obstacle. We need to stop spreading it. We really do. We really, really do. I think, you know, the King of Swords is going to step in. You know, that's the government. He's going to step in and say, look, this is what we need to do. And maybe we need to kind of shut things down for a bit. You know, we're coming into the Christmas season and Hanukkah. And, you know, times when people get together in heated, closed, confined spaces. And so the government's going to have to step in. Things will start to pick up quickly. And we're going to be feeling a bit stuck. A bit like a victim all over again, because we've done this all over before, right? So, I mean, you know, we're going to be having to stay put, I think. And it's going to matter too, for sure, like where you live. You know, like so far it hasn't really hit New England, but you know it's coming because, I mean, we're free to move about the country. So of course it's going to come, unfortunately. And judgment calls are going to have to be made. They're going to have to be made. And so, you know, my advice to you is just be really super cautious. I'm glad I came back when I did. I am not looking to travel again for several months. Okay. That's what my guides have told me. That's what I've been guided to do. And that I can't tell you how to live your life, and you shouldn't listen to any YouTuber who tries to tell you how to live your life. But I always listen to my guides because every time I don't, I pay for it. So let us finish up. Now I picked 3 major arcana cards. So there's only 22 in any tarot deck, right? And those are the big life cards. So just take a second to center yourself. Take a deep breath. And ask, universe, what do you want me to know right now? What message do I need right now? 1, 2, or 3. Go with your gut. Here we go. The first one is the Empress or Archangel Gabriel in this deck. And it says, time to act upon your plans. So if you've been procrastinating, dragging your feet, now's the time to take action. Creativity is rewarded, luxurious or abundant resources, because the Empress is all about abundance and luxuriousness and fertility and the seeds that you have planted coming into fruition. So wonderful card to get. Okay, number 2, divine guidance, which is Archangel Sandalphon. And as you probably know, Sandalphon is the angel of music, right? Very harmonious angel. The search for meaning in life. Consider an alternative approach. Surround yourself with wise teachers or friends. So what I would say is this is the time to be introspective, reflective, meditative, go within, okay? A good time to work on your chakras, right? And third is the star, which is Archangel Jophiel. And Jophiel is the angel that beautifies things, beautifies your thoughts, your home, landscaping, anything to do with that. A dream come true. Believe in yourself. It's the end of a difficult situation. So I hope those are some really helpful messages and just to leave on a good note. So it's so good to be back. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I will be back in a few days with part 2 answering your questions. Bye everyone.